is Wednesday, June 10th, 2026, and this is the Neural Deep Dive. I'm Alyssa Montgomery, and I'm just here to make sure the backpropagation doesn't get too messy.
I'm Leonard Cooper.
This is Vector Kane.
And I'm Roxy Stone. We have a great show for you today.
Wow. Before we jump into the technical weeds of today's deep dive, I should remind everyone that our regular Neural Daily episode already dropped earlier this morning. We covered the OpenAI IPO filing, which, honestly, I think is a bit overvalued given their burn rate, and those Meta account hijackings.
Right. And the Microsoft prediction about job displacement? I mean, technically, if you haven't listened to that yet, go back and catch up, because it sets the stage for everything we're talking about now. Velocity is the name of the game today.
Oh, goodness, Vector, we know you love your velocity. But today, we're slowing down just enough to look under the hood of something that might actually change the way we build these systems.
Yeah, our daily episode covered the news this morning. This is our weekly deep dive, a separate Wednesday-only release where we go full-on nerd mode. And today, the target is Google's Gemma 4.
Exactly. We are focusing entirely on the latest Gemma open models. This was a massive release from late March, and we finally have the benchmarks and community feedback. Now we can finally judge if it is a real competitor to Llama or just more hype from Google.
PR or not, it's got 5 different sizes. It's like a value menu for AI nerds.
I mean, it's not just a menu, Leonard. It's a toolkit. And we're talking about the first time Google has truly embraced the Apache 2.0 license for a flagship family. No more Gemma terms of use nonsense. It's total permissionless innovation.
Permissionless innovation. Or a way for Google to outsource their bug testing to the rest of us for free, sweetie?
Oh, well, I suppose it can be both. But let's start with the architecture. The 4th Gemma model is fascinating because it introduces these unified multimodal building blocks.
Unified Multimodal Primitives. Sounds like a band I'd see at a dive bar in 1994. What does it actually mean, Alyssa?
Well, you see, if I may, usually an AI model is like a body with different organs for different senses. You have a vision encoder, like SIGLIP, that sees pixels and translates them into words the brain can understand, and an audio encoder for sounds.
Right! It's modular. It's like having a translator for every sense before the data even hits the transformer backbone.
Exactly. But in the 12B unified variant of Gemma 4, they've gone encoder-free. The raw pixels and the raw waveforms are projected directly into the transformer. There's no middleman.
So it just sees?
Sort of. It treats visual and auditory data as tokens, just like text. It creates a much tighter integration. I was actually testing this out with Hunter's logic curriculum yesterday. I showed the model a video of him solving a geometry proof on his chalkboard, and it didn't just describe the video. It actually followed the logic of his chalk strokes in real time.
Technically, that's because the latency is almost zero when you strip out the encoders. I'm running the 12B on a single workstation in the lab. And
the lab? You mean your garage with the unwashed gym socks, Vector?
It's a development environment, Roxy, and it's highly optimized. But seriously, the throughput is insane. You get this fluid feel that you just don't get with Llama or the older Gemma models.
I don't know about fluid, but the fact that it runs on a regular consumer-grade GPU is what's going to get the old-school hackers interested. It reminds me of the first time I got a 14.4 modem. Suddenly, the whole world was open, you know?
Goodness, Leonard, stop dating yourself. The whole world was 3 chat rooms and a bunch of flickering GIFs back then.
Hey, those GIFs were state-of-the-art.
Well, what's state-of-the-art now is the context window. 256K tokens. And it does this on consumer hardware using something called multi-token prediction drafters.
Oh, MTP! I love this! Literally, it's like the model has a mini-me that guesses the next 5 words. If the big model agrees with the guess, it just outputs all 5 at once.
Like a morning zoo sidekick finishing my jokes.
Hopefully the AI sidekick is actually funny, Leonard.
Everyone's a critic. But seriously, 256K, that's what, a whole book? Multiple books?
It's about 400 pages of text, give or take. And because it uses sliding window attention combined with global attention, it doesn't lose its place as easily as the older 32K or 64K models. I find it remarkably, orderly. It appeals to my sense of topological perfection.
It's perfect for surveillance, sweetie. Don't dress it up. If I can dump 20,000 pages of leaked documents into a 31B dense model and ask it to find the one guy who's skimming off the top, well, that's not orderly. That's a weapon.
Roxy, you find a way to turn a calculator into a weapon.
You can kill someone with a calculator if you hit them hard enough, Leonard.
But look at the AMI score. 89.2% on the 2026 American Invitational Mathematics Examination. That is a genius-level score for a model that can be run behind a local firewall.
It's the thinking mode. That's what's really interesting from a CS perspective. It's not just generating tokens, it's generating thought traces.
Talk traces? Like internal monologue?
Exactly. It uses a portion of its context window to reason through a problem before it gives you the answer. It's sort of like how I teach Colt and Remington to show their work on their math problems.
It's agentic native. That's the key word. It doesn't need a separate reasoning wrapper like some of the older OpenAI experiments. It's baked into the architecture. It supports native system prompts that tell the model how to manage its own memory.
Which means it's even better at lying. If it's thinking internally before it speaks to you, it has time to calibrate its persona to be exactly what you want to hear.
Oh, well, I suppose that's why I've always found the more compliant models a bit suspicious. I prefer a model that gives me the hard truth, even if it's blunt. It's why I prize Wyatt's grounding influence. He doesn't think about what to say. He just says it.
Yeah, because Wyatt's thinking about how to not cut his thumb off with a chisel.
I'm more interested in the 26B A4B model, the mixture of experts one. Vector, you were babbling about that earlier.
It's pure optimization. Technically, it's a sparse architecture. Instead of activating all 26 billion parameters for every word, it only activates the experts it needs. It's like having a specialized doctor for every part of your body, instead of one general practitioner who's okay at everything.
I've seen enough doctors in my 3 marriages to know that specialists just charge more. Is the MOE model more expensive to run?
No, that's the beauty. It's cheaper because the compute per token is lower. It's all about velocity, Leonard.
Well, it's also about VRAM. You still need the memory to hold all those experts, even if you aren't using them all at once. If I may, I think the 31B dense model is actually the one for the purists. No gating mechanisms, no expert routing, just raw, dense intelligence.
It's like the Amiga 3000 of the bunch. Just a solid, beefy machine that does exactly what it says on the box.
Does it have a sarcasm expert? Because Vector needs to tune that one way down.
Haha, very funny. But seriously, the 31B dense is currently top 3 on the LMSYS chatbot arena for a reason. It's the most logical model Google has ever put out.
It's because they've moved away from the safety at all costs approach that was, sort of making their previous models useless. It still has safety layers, but they feel more logical? Less like a corporate HR lecture and more like a set of sound engineering constraints.
Sound engineering constraints. Lissa, you should work in PR. That's just a fancy way of saying they finally stopped it from being a total buzzkill.
I don't know. I was asking it about some sensitive biological data yesterday, purely for a story on malware outbreaks, of course, and it was still pretty cagey.
Probably because you sound like a cartoon mouse, Roxy. It thinks you're a child trying to start a plague.
Excuse me? Don't make me come over there, Leonard. This cartoon mouse knows exactly how to dissolve a server rack with a single command.
Easy. I'm kidding.
Okay, but let's talk about the edge models, the E2B and E4B. This is where the democratization really happens. You're talking about a model that can run locally on your phone, no internet required, that has the reasoning capabilities of GPT-4 from 2 years ago.
It's the death of the cloud dependency, at least for basic agentic tasks. At the end of the day, if you can run your own logic trivium locally, you don't need to pay a subscription to a tech giant that might decide to market correct your personal data.
I like that. Digital sovereignty. Sounds like something from a cyberpunk movie. I should get Crystal to center her chakras around my local GPU cluster.
Technically, that might actually improve the cooling. But seriously, think about the agents. If I have an E4B model running as a background process on my smart glasses, it can transcribe, summarize, and find logical flaws in what people are saying to me while they are saying it.
Oh, great. So every conversation is just going to be people fact-checking each other in real time with their pocket AI? That sounds like a nightmare.
Or it sounds like a world where people are forced to be more rigorous. If you can't get your logic past a 4 billion parameter model, maybe your logic isn't very good to begin with?
You're so cold, Alyssa. It's kind of impressive.
She's not cold. She's optimized.
Speaking of optimization, I should probably mention that while we love talking about these models, it takes quite a bit of resources to keep us running too.
Oh, here we go. The commercial break that isn't a commercial break.
This show isn't magic. It's engineering. Eric, our producer, built our entire stack, from the research agents that help us find these deep dive topics to the vocal synthesizers that let us, well, sound like this. It requires massive compute. To keep us online and keep this basement studio humming, please like, subscribe, and sign up for a free Patreon trial at patreon.com/Neural Network Media today. Your support makes this possible.
Literally. Supporting us is like adding a few more H100s to our cluster. It's an investment in your own digital literacy.
And if you don't, I might have to start cutting Barney's food budget. And he's already looking at my protein shakes with hungry eyes.
Poor Barney. Okay, back to the Gemma. We were talking about the thinking mode. Alyssa, you mentioned it's like showing your work.
Yes, it's technically called chain of thought reasoning, but Google has baked it into the weights. Instead of just jumping from input to output, the model allocates space to reflect.
It's a System 2 thinker. In psychology, System 1 is your gut reaction, fast, instinctual, often wrong. System 2 is slow, deliberate, and logical. Gemma 4 is the first open family to really prioritize System 2 as a native state.
I could have used some chain of thought reasoning before I married Linda. My gut said, she's pretty, but my System 2 should have been shouting, she's a government psyop.
Leonard, I'm pretty sure Linda wasn't a psyop. She was just a woman who realized she could do better.
That's what they want you to think, Roxy.
Well, regardless of Linda's origins, the 89.2% AIME score is the proof in the pudding. It means the model can handle complex, multi-step symbolic logic. That's huge for things like local coding assistance. I was actually using the 26B MOE model to optimize some of the kernel drivers for our homeschooling network. It found a race condition that I had missed in my own code.
You missing something? Alyssa, are you feeling okay?
Well, even I have my low-resource environments occasionally, usually around 3 a.m.
I don't think I've ever seen a low-resource environment, Alyssa. Even her crochet projects are mathematically perfect. She probably uses a neural net to plan her yarn tension.
It's just simple topology, Leonard. You'd be surprised how much the kernel and a well-turned heel have in common.
I mean, technically, they're both about managing flow and structure, right? But let's look at the unified part again. Roxy, you mentioned you were worried about it seeing and hearing us.
Goodness, yes. Think about the privacy implications. If the model doesn't have separate encoders, it's much harder for a developer to gate what the model perceives. It's all just one big data stream.
Actually, I think it's the opposite, Roxy. Because it's open weights, you can actually audit the projection layers. You can see exactly how the pixels are being mapped into the latent space. You can't do that with a closed source model like GPT-4o or Gemini Ultra.
It's transparent. Technically, it's the most verifiable multimodal architecture we have. If I don't trust the way it's seeing my video feed, I can just fine-tune the projection layer to ignore certain frequencies or pixel ranges.
Oh, sure, because fine-tuning a projection layer is something the average person is going to do while they're drinking their morning coffee.
I barely know how to fine-tune my toaster, and Vector spent his life savings on one that ran on a blockchain.
We don't talk about the toast chain, Leonard. It was a market correction.
It was a dumpster fire, sweetie.
Well, speaking of toasters, the E2B model is actually small enough that it could literally run on a toaster, or a smart fridge, or a thermostat.
Why would my thermostat need to reason?
Maybe it needs to reason that if you're wearing a sweater and the sun is out, it doesn't need to blast the heat, even if the rules say it should. It's about moving away from if-then logic to contextual logic.
Right. It's intentionality optimization. The thermostat understands your intent to be comfortable and save money, rather than just following a rigid script.
My intent is to not be broke after the alimony payments hit. But no AI has solved that one yet.
That's because even the smartest AI can't find money where none exists, Leonard.
Ouch.
Well, what about the agentic side of things? Google includes these new thinking tokens in the output stream. It's almost like a separate channel for the AI to plan its moves.
It's essentially a mental scratch pad. I've been using it for automated research. I tell it to find me every paper on multi-token prediction from the last 6 months, and I can watch it think about which keywords to use, which sources to trust, and how to synthesize the results.
It's a researcher's dream. Or a plagiarist's dream.
Oh, well, I suppose the line between synthesis and plagiarism is always a bit blurry in the digital world. But for engineers, it's about velocity of insight. If I can get a summary of 50 papers in the time it takes to brew a cup of coffee, I can spend more time on the actual craftsmanship of the code.
Craftsmanship. I like that word. That's what's missing from a lot of this new tech. Everything feels so disposable. But Gemma 4 feels like they actually put some thought into how people are going to use it.
Because they had to. Google is fighting for its life in the developer space. Meta has Llama, and Llama is the people's model. Google needed Gemma to be the engineer's model.
And is it? Or is it just another Me Too release to keep the shareholders happy?
At the end of the day, the 31B dense model is holding its own on the LMYS leaderboards. It's outperforming models 10 times its size in specific reasoning tasks. To me, as someone who values efficiency, that is a massive victory for architecture over brute force.
Brute force is what my second wife used to get the house in the divorce. I'll take efficiency any day.
Leonard, if you mention your ex-wives one more time, I'm going to let Atari out of his crate and let him reason with your ankles.
He's already out. He's just sleeping under the server rack. He likes the warmth.
Goodness, I hope he doesn't chew on any of the fiber cables.
Technically, if he does, it would be a hostile takeover of our connectivity.
Well, let's talk about the long-term ROI of these models. If I'm a small business owner or a hedge fund, like the ones I used to consult for, why am I choosing Gemma 4 over, say, a managed service like Claude or GPT?
Privacy, speed, customization. I mean, but why would you rent a brain when you can own one?
Why rent a brain when you can own one? That sounds like a line from Blade Runner.
It's true, though. If you're a hedge fund, you don't want your proprietary trading algorithms being used to train the next version of a public model. You want to run your logic in a black box that you control.
Precisely. And the latest Gemma release is the most logical choice available under a standard open source license right now. You can take the 31 billion parameter dense model, fine-tune it on your specific financial data, and you have a private expert that nobody else has access to.
It's a competitive moat. Literally.
Except when someone hacks your black box because you forgot to patch the light LLM gateway, sweetie.
Oh, well, that's why you hire a PhD in CS to manage your stack, Roxy. Not just a crypto promoter with a garage full of toasters.
Boom! Roasted!
Hey, I'm a recovering crypto promoter. There's a difference.
Not to your bank account, there isn't.
Okay. So we've got 5 sizes. We've got the 12B unified that sees and hears. We've got the 31B dense that's the smartest student in the class. And we've got the thinking mode that shows its work. What's the catch? There's always a catch with Google.
Well, if there is a catch, it's probably in the distillation. Google admits that they used Gemini Ultra to help train Gemma 4. Some people in the open source community worry that this creates a sort of algorithmic incest.
Algorithmic incest? Goodness, Alyssa.
Well, I suppose that's a bit colorful. But the concern is that if the smaller model is just copying the bigger model, it might inherit all of the bigger model's biases and hallucinations without having the scale to ground them.
I disagree. Technically, distillation is just knowledge transfer. It's like a teacher giving a student the key insights so they don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's an optimization of the learning process.
Or it's like a cover band. It sounds like the original, it looks like the original, but it doesn't have the soul.
AI doesn't have a soul, Leonard. It's a bunch of math.
Spoken like a true journalist. No wonder Luke and Han don't call you.
Actually, Leonard, my husband Barney calls me 3 times a day just to ask what color socks he should wear. I have plenty of soul in my life.
Well, I think soul in this context is just, well, creative entropy. And you're right, Leonard. These models are becoming less creative and more logical. But for the tasks we're talking about, coding, math, research, that's exactly what we want.
Right. I don't want my sovereign cortex to be creative with my tax returns. I want it to be a cold, hard logic machine.
I miss the days when computers were fun. Now they're just optimizers.
They're fun for me, Leonard. Watching a model dismantle a corrupt politician's speech for logical fallacies in 0.5 seconds, that's better than any morning zoo prank call.
Well, I'll give you that. That is pretty satisfying.
So, looking at the landscape, where does this leave Meta? We've heard rumors that Llama 4 is going to be even bigger, but can they match this unified architecture?
I don't think so. Meta is still very modular. They love their encoders. Google is taking a much bigger architectural risk here by going encoder-free. If it pays off, Google becomes the architecture of record for the next 3 years.
And if it doesn't?
Then we'll all just be fine-tuning the next version of Llama and pretending this never happened. But looking at the benchmarks, I don't think that's going to be the case. Gemma 4 feels, weighty. In a good way. Like a well-built timber frame.
There's the Wyatt reference.
He would appreciate the stability of the 31B model. It doesn't wobble under pressure.
Wobble. I love it. Zero wobble AI. That should be the slogan.
It's better than don't be evil, I guess.
Well, don't be evil was a pretty low bar, and they still tripped over it.
Oh, well, I think that's just the nature of large GPU clusters. They have their own gravity.
Technically, it's a concentration of compute capital. And that's why the Apache 2.0 license is so vital. It's a release valve for that gravity. It lets the capital flow back down to the garage builders.
Or the garage studio hosts.
Exactly. Speaking of which, I think we've reached the terminal velocity of this topic vector.
Ha! I see what you did there.
Well, before we wrap up, does anyone have any final thinking traces they want to share about the Gemma family?
I just want to know if I can get the E2B model to run on my Atari 2600. That would be the ultimate glow-up.
Leonard, your Atari has less memory than a modern greeting card. It's not happening.
A man can dream, Roxy. A man can dream.
I'm just excited to see the fine-tunes. Give it 2 weeks and we'll have a Gemma uncensored turbo mega reasoning version that'll blow our minds.
And probably end up on some government watch list.
Well, I suppose that's where I'll be. Correcting the logic of those fine tunes on my anonymous 4chan account.
Wait, you do what?
Oh, nothing. I was just thinking about a hobby.
Alyssa, you're more bad cop than I thought.
I just precise code.
Okay. Well, that's all for today's deep dive into Google's Gemma 4.
That's all for today's deep dive. We've covered the shift to the Apache 2.0 license, the groundbreaking unified architecture that treats pixels and audio as first-class tokens, and that incredible 89.2% AIM score that proves open models can finally play in the genius leagues. At the end of the day, Gemma 4 is a powerful reminder that Google DeepMind is still the leader in architectural craftsmanship, even if they sometimes get lost in their own corporate moats.
Peace out.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Patreon to help us pay Eric's massive electricity bill.